Hi, my name is Vanessa St. Louis, and I'm here to tell you a story about my son, Joshua Webb St. Louis. So, Joshua started off his life a happy kid, happy, loved to play, loved to be around his family. He was actually the second third to last child of mine. And when I gave birth to my last son, um, I didn't have any support around me. I didn't have no help around me. It was just me. So it was difficult. And when I when I gave birth, Joshua went to stay with his father, and the other three that were there, they went to stay with a worker from the school because there was no one around. So what happened is that the worker from the school called Children's Aid. They came to see me. At that time, I was way bigger in body size than this, suffering with sleep apnea, what have you. So, sorry, they decided to apprehend my children. So, what happened now is that one day his father dropped him off to my home, and I said, okay, I'll keep him. Now everybody told me um not to have Joshua stay with me because what would happen is that they might take him away from me. And so I said, okay, whatever. So I called the worker. I said, I know you have the others, but what are my rights with Joshua? And the worker said, is Joshua there with you? I'm like, yeah, he's here and he's safe and he's fine. And she said, oh, I'll get back to you. So time went by. So I figured, yeah, all is blessed. He's sleeping, whatever. And all I heard was boom, boom, boom at the door. In came the worker with about 8 policemen to take away one 4-year-old kid, you know? And here's Joshua in happier times. I'll never forget the day they took him away from me. Um, she woke him up and said, Joshua, do you want to go for a ride with us? And he said, no. It's like he sensed danger and he grabbed onto my shirt. And that woman pried him off of me and took him away from me. And that scream that he screamed, to this day, I'll never forget. Although it was 21 years ago, I could never forget that scream. So they took him away from me, but they would still send a children's aid worker to my door to harass me with the other four. And I knew these people weren't in my life to help. They were there to take away all of my children. But the judge ordered that four of them come home, and they convinced the judge that Joshua should stay in for further evaluation. So I held on and on and on, but I said to myself as a mom, what I'm going to do, I'm going to get the four out of the province of Ontario and go to Alberta and then come back and fight for my son because I knew out of jurisdiction they couldn't trouble the other four kids. And I didn't think I did anything to deserve losing all my kids. So when I got to Alberta, I dropped the bomb on the Children's Aid Society in Ontario, and boy, were they furious. So what they did no more was he's just being held for evaluation. What they did now, they decided they want to make my son a Crown Ward. Now, I hope you can see this, but um, this is how it went. They decided to put my son up for adoption to Michael Fitzroy, and here is Lynn Hobbs. They deemed that these two people were more fit than I was to look after my son. Now, mind you, the social workers in Alberta called the social workers in Ontario and said, send the boy. We'll help them and keep them together as a family. But because I left out on them, and there was never a court order saying I couldn't leave the province, what they did, they decided to keep him and slam down the phone on Alberta. So finally, I went through a harrowing trial. They brought up everything in the book to use against me and made him a Crown Ward with no access to me. Now, I want to tell you something. Before they did that no access stunt, my son whispered to me in the phone, Mom, the foster dad took off my clothes. They grabbed the phone from my son and then pursued no access. So why is a 4-year-old telling his mom, his natural mother, that is, that the foster dad here, Mr. Mike Fitzroy, who's now dead, that he's taking his clothes off. Now the court judge, Wildman, Helen Trentos, the children's aid lawyer, they wouldn't stop. They were relentless that my son be into these people's care, Lynn and Mike. They adopted him, changed his last name from Webb St. Louis to Fitzroy. Now, this lady here, they never really truly studied who she was. She is an alcoholic that went to AA, had to join AA, unknown to Children's Aid. Unknown to Children's Aid, this guy was basically a nasty, nasty man who climbed into my son's bed and assaulted him. And Children's Aid wasn't there to stop his pain, the trauma. What they did, they convinced him, oh, mommy can't take care of you. Mommy doesn't love you. That is the stories that my son was told. And the reason why I am sharing this is because trauma begets trauma, right? This boy went through it, yo. He went through it so much that he ended up being diagnosed with schizophrenia. Now, what's happening to my son now? He relapses when he thinks about growing up without his mom, being told mommy doesn't want you, being sexually molested night after night until, well, pedophiles, they have an age limit, and the older little boys get, for some of them, the less appealing. In started the verbal abuse. You're a douchebag. Get out. Blah, blah, blah. The foster mother and, well, the adoptive mother, Lynn, had a big divorce battle and left him there with this man who was raping my little boy. Nobody stood to help him. Nobody banged on their doors and tore him out of his sleep to take him to safety. So she left, some mother, huh? Yeah, left him in his care. And when he was about 17, he packed his belongings in garbage bags and threw him out into the street. Now, he died 2 years ago. Now, just remember that he adopted my son because his name Fitzroy is on everything. I want you to just look at this. Loving father of Serena Fitzroy, very proud grandfather of Logan and Sophie. Did you see Joshua's name there? No, you didn't. So you tore him away from his mother and then just you're supposed to be the father that the children's aid and the children's lawyer Barbara Steinberg and Helen Trentos and Judge Jay Wildman, they all deemed these people as loving parents, but not I, his mother, who would love him until the end. So now, as we skip ahead in the journey, after he was no more use to CAS, the baby bonus is now done. They gave him his walking papers and a check for 3 years. So trauma, it does affect the brain. I mean, look at all he went through. Living with an alcoholic, living with a dirty, nasty pedophile. My son is now living with schizophrenia. The police arrested him on February the 3rd of 2023, saying that this child went in to Planet Fitness and being non-compliant when he has a membership for Planet Fitness. And because they refused to accept his membership, the security decided to play heroes. Look what they did to my son. Look at his leg. Why is he sitting in a cell? Does that make sense? Look at his hand. Now, what really did my son do so bad? He suffers with mental illness. So tonight I called the police and I said, look, he doesn't belong in a cell. He suffers from mental illness. He needs to be in the hospital. He's diagnosed with schizophrenic, prescribed medication. I said, I will bring you his medication to the station. They didn't want me there. They didn't want me to speak to him. They claim he assaulted multiple people. So you know what that means? Can you imagine the physical force that they used on my son? I don't want to imagine it. Now, when Joshua was before all these tragedies struck, he was a happy little boy, happy, those chubby cheeks I used to bite on. That's him and my brother. This is who Joshua was. This picture, you could see his haunted eyes. I broke the law, although they said no access, and I drove up to Aurelia to see my son after 5 years. I hadn't seen him and I couldn't take it no more. And I snuck up to his school and I found him. They called the cops, the adopted pedophile father, and he came up to the school fuming mad. So I had to hug him up goodbye. Now I captured his emotions. Look at what they did to my little boy. Look at the haunted eyes. And he's seeing his mother to have to say goodbye again. I don't think this is right. I think it's wrong. It's wickedness. And now they're holding my son. The police said to me they don't care about his mental illness, which he should have been taken straight to a hospital then if he's relapsing. They didn't care. The police at 52 Division told me this night over the phone that, oh, the criminal outweighs the mental health. But I'm just wondering, I mean, that boy, that white kid that shot up the church and took out 9 Black people, he wasn't sent to no jail cell right away. What did they do with him? They put him in a mental hospital. But they have my son on a cold night, February the 3rd, locked in a cell and don't care about his medication, claiming that, oh, that's not how it works. It's not how it works because of his color. This lady is the lawyer. I only wish that she knows what she did that day when they were victorious in making my son a crown ward. They know not what they have done. You know what I mean? But I know what they've done. And I don't feel that somebody with mental illness should be locked up in a cold cell right now. And sometimes you just have to be your own media. You just have to create your own awareness because the media, the general public media, they pick and choose what they're going to highlight in the news. Now, I've written to them about my raped and abused son that was adopted by 2 white people that abused him. Alcoholic woman, look at her face. You could see the alcoholism took a toll. And look at my face. I don't drink. My kids never, ever have been touched inappropriately by me. So, what makes these people more legitimate, more worthy to change his name, just like they did in slavery days? They named them after their masters. And this man took the innocence from my son. She took away his innocence. The system took away his innocence. Where were Helen Trentos, the CAS lawyer? Where was that judge while my son was torn apart night after night? Where was the worker Ross Kleiner, the children's lawyer Barbara Steinberg? Where were they? Where were they? And now the system is still beating and whipping my son. And my question is, oh, Mr. and Mrs. System, what did my son do to you? It's a question that has never been answered. You have failed and abused my son since he was 4 years old. He was 25, and you are still beating this kid. Nobody cares to hear, nobody cares to listen. And I'm wondering about the Mental Health Act of Ontario. Where are you people? Where are the social workers? And why are you not banging down these people's door, this alcoholic? Well, I know the man is dead and there's no love lost there. But where are these people? When will people listen to the pain and the agony that you put people through? People that are vulnerable, like single mothers, big and fat people, people that don't have a crowd of family support around them to show that they're not some lonely dog out there. Well, I might be one voice, but I'm still going to talk. And I am going to rinse out this video out there because that boy is suffering from mental illness and you have him locked up in a cold cell alone again. Alone with no comfort, no love, and no one to assure him that everything's going to be all right. Can you blame him from breaking down mentally? This boy grew up and was told by the white Canadian system his mother didn't love him or want him. I had a chain link of love of 5. They took away 1. Look at the big gap and hole it left. Do you people know what you do? Now God says, forgive them because they know not what they do. And because I don't come in the name of evil, I come in the name of love. I will forgive, but I won't forget. And I will keep sharing the story, no matter what, even if it falls on deaf ears. I want my son to know your mother never stopped loving me. But what I want to know from you, justice system, when are you going to stop beating my son? You tore him from his mother's arms. You moved him into 4 different foster homes. One foster home, this 4-year-old baby peed his bed. That foster lady, and she was a Jamaican lady, black like me, filled a tub with cold water and put my son in that water for peeing the bed. I've never done that to my children. My son was assaulted with a hammer in his head. They still kept him. None of my kids ever got such heavy abuse that to wield a hammer in a baby's head. Yet you still felt I was so bad. You could ask any one of my children or my grandchildren. They know love. They grew up being loved. We had to run from Ontario to Calgary, homeless in a shelter. Then we moved to Sudbury. Then they had a warrant out for my arrest. And I said, I'm not running no more. I went to court in Sudbury, but they refused to budge and give him back to me. Or you Children's Aid Society, you put my son with an alcoholic, a pedophile, a verbal abuser, a wicked man that pelted my son out like black garbage when you could have sent him to me. You made a mistake. And it's time that you pay for your mistake and repair the damage that you have done, oh Canada, our home and native land. Where is the patriots' love? And I'm here, and I have to be my son's voice, because right now, that boy doesn't have a voice. You raped my child, you abused my child, and now you have him locked up. When he's suffering, that is trauma. Trauma after trauma after trauma that just fragmented his mental state. Yet you're punishing him. Help him. Put him in the hospital where he belongs. No policeman should be saying, oh, the criminal outweighs the mental health. Where are you, Mental Health Act of Canada? Where are you, Mr. John Tory? Doug Ford? Where are you guys? And I want answers. And I will not stop talking talking, sharing, calling out names like the children's aid workers, Walter and Ross Kleiner, Lynn Hobbs, the alcoholic that you let adopt my son, who left him before he turned 18. She divorced the pedophile and ditched him. She never looked back. Mike Fitzroy died, listed all the other adoptees that he adopted, but not my Black son was not on that list. Why? Why did you exclude the little boy that was so cute that enticed you to rape him? I'm going to say it straight. You raped a 4-year-old baby. That is pedophilism. Well, you got away because you got struck down by a heart attack. But you will face God's judgment, just like all the rest of them that had a hand in making sure that they ripped my child out of my life when I wouldn't have done that to my son. It wasn't done to the other 4. And I have 2 grandchildren living under my roof. And that little boy, you took him and you made him lose himself. And for that, I want answers to, and I demand justice. And my name is Vanessa St. Louis. I had 5 children. You took the 3rd one, Joshua St. Louis Webb. You changed his name and you abused him in every way possible. And I'm demanding justice. Oh, no, it's not going to be no, oh, we're sorry, we understand. Damn you, no. You are going to fix this and get my son out of that jail cell, because I will chant it down and speak and talk and share and tell my son's story. And I will be his voice. Rest assured. Canada, you wronged Joshua. You wronged, and his name is not Fitzroy. His name is Joshua Sean Noel St. Louis Webb. That is his name.